Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the FPL Newbies. Now, as we know, after a long wait, the FPL deadline is finally with us. It has been a whole month of planning and plotting. We have been tearing up our drafts one after another, and by this time, I am sure that our phone galleries are filled with lots of drafts. Now, as we know, the injuries in the preseason, which were quite unfortunate, especially on Fofana and Robertson, and Robertson has been a must in most of our drafts who haven't gone with PAA, and some of us have also doubled up on Trent and Robertson, which is why naturally now it has foiled our plans to some extent. So at the end of the video, we will show you the final drafts that we will be going into game week 1 with. But before that, we will be quickly take a look at some of the defenders that are almost essential in this coming FPL season. Now, I kind of hate the word essential because there can't be any essential defenders. It totally depends on your game plan and how you plan to approach your team with. These are the defenders that we will be showing today. In our opinion, these defenders have the highest possible chance of racking up the most number of points in at least the initial game weeks. It is always best to start off our game weeks with proven players who have proved to us in the past years that they're capable of going off to a good start. And of course, there will be new gems that we will discover as the season progresses, but those are under the category of wait and watch. So let's start with the first one. And the first one that we have here is Dini and Creswell. Now, Everton's last preseason game was versus Manchester United, and they lost 4-0. So Dinia was in my draft for a long time, and to be honest, that result kind of made me have second thoughts over him, which is why I ultimately decided to left him out. Since DCL and Richarlison are also not looking likely to start game week 1, I think Everton might struggle, although they have a very favorable run of fixtures. So it's not like Dinia will be totally out of consideration. Rafa Benitez is a good manager, and as we can see, the stats of Dinia last year was ridiculous. A 5.96 XA, and his ability to just drift covers the ground and rack up as many crosses as he can makes him a valuable asset. And if we compare him with Creswell, who is at the same price point as Dinia, Creswell at the moment seems like a better option only because West Ham as a team looks solid. They have a good preseason, and Creswell, we must not forget that Creswell was the high scoring defender last season, and he is being majorly overlooked in my opinion. Mainly, I think it is mainly due to his price points because no one wants to triple up on West Ham United just in the first few game weeks. Many of them have Antonio, and the second option for them is either Benrahma or Sufal. So, in my opinion, that's why Creswell is being overlooked. But if Creswell hits the ground running and he can replicate his form of last season, then I can see many managers bringing him in the future game mix. And what are your thoughts on this?
If we are comparing now between Dinia and Creswell, who are, I guess, it's 5.5, both of them are 5.5, yeah. Considering Dinia's attacking prospects, like he doesn't only delivers crosses, he also takes corners and he also takes free kicks, yeah, along with Sigurdsson. So, Dinia
Sigurdsson
undoubtedly.
might be out. Sigurdsson might be
Oh
out
yeah,
for the
so
first few game
Sigurdsson,
weeks.
if Sigurdsson is out, then then every set piece apart from penalties, I think Dinia will be in charge on. And yeah, looking at that perspective, you will feel Dinia has a lot of potential in bringing a lot of points in the early match days. But yeah, this is also I think a managerial change, and with their main star players DCL and Richarlison in contention of not starting the match day one, and DCL is rumored to be, I think, suffered a knock in their last preseason match. So I think this can be a little bit risky picking up Dinia, especially because he has been inconsistent point wise last season. FPL points delivery wise. So yeah, without a striker like prolific striker like DCL, I think it will be very tough. It's very hard to look upon who is gonna score them crosses. Like he can provide good crosses, but who will score them? Like we know how much DCL's aerial prowess is, but who can replace him? I don't think anyone in their current squad can replace him. So yeah, that will be a tricky thing to consider. That will be a tricky thing to consider upon. On the other hand, West Ham is a team that is on full motion. They will be eyeing for uh, again. They will be eyeing for Europa spot, I think, or in minimum Champions League
And they're
spot
also
with
in
the.
the Europa League this season.
Yeah, this season they're also in the Europa League, and they have increased their squad depth. Benrahma has hit the ground running, and Antonio is in great form. You looking at all these stats, you will feel that West Ham is a well-oiled machine right now, rather than uh, Everton, and you will feel Cresswell has more chances of racking up points than Digne. And Cresswell also, I think, takes corners. Yeah, he also takes. He's also in charge of
Yes.
corners. Yeah, occasionally. And yeah, and as you said, he was the top scorer, top scoring defender last season. So yeah, I think if personally for me, I will pick Cresswell, but the thing is, I don't. I'm not counting on both of them for now, because Cresswell's
Mhm.
injury problem is a big issue first of all, and Dinia's inconsistency and the managerial change in Everton is not convincing me to go for either of them. And Dinia, I think if Rafa Benitez plays a back five, which he normally does, I think Dinia has a chance to flourish even more without thinking of tracking back a lot than what he does in a back four as he did under Ancelotti. So yeah, and I think West Ham also plays a back three or back five. I think both
No, West
have.
Ham plays a back four.
West Ham plays a back four, and yeah. So yeah. In terms of racking up points in early match days, I think as in a perspective of team and inform, West Ham are definitely ahead of Everton, and Cresswell definitely will be the better pick between the two.
Yeah, I think people would have gone for Cresswell if they did not want to triple up on West Ham just
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
beginning of the
Hmm.
game week. I think that's the only point that is keeping them up, because I remember last season also, people did not really pick Cresswell as much because of the 5 million price tag, and compared to him, Sufal was 4.5 million last season.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
naturally, people went for Sufal. It's not like Sufal did not deliver, but Cresswell delivered more.
More.
And I think the same way he's going under the radar, because 19 goal attempts is really ridiculous. This is a crazy stat for a fullback, and for a fullback that plays in a so-called not so-called team that does not belong to the big six. So that's also pretty impressive. Okay, let's move on to the next pair of defenders. We have Eiling and Ait Nouri, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, so Ait Nouri is a really tricky option, because the fact that whether he's nailed or not is still a big question mark. And he has started in some of the preseason games. I think Johnny is probably injured in Wolves, and only Markle is available for that left back option. But the good factor is that Wolves don't have a great opening fixture. So naturally, Ait Nouri can be an option that we can wait and consider. And although, like, if we look at his stats, it's not that impressive that we will definitely keep him in our team, or we will consider him as essential. But the thing is that at 4.5 million, if we are getting such an attacking fullback, and I think the new manager for Wolves, he has a knack of playing a back five, and of course Ait Nouri will play in that left wing back position. So I think Wolves assets in general are some worth considering in the future, not now. So he will be definitely one to keep an eye on. And compared to that Eiling, who is on the same price range, like Eiling has Eiling had some really great underlying stats last season that we can see, like 24 goal attempts with 2.99 x and 1.44 xg is someone, you would think that he had scored a lot of points too, but that's the case. Although his underlying stats were really great, compared to that, he did not deliver exactly. His points were a bit low, and Dallas was the one who shone, mostly because he played in the midfield and scored lots of unexpected goals. So Eiling kind of, in my opinion, underperformed. So although like Leeds United have Manchester United in their game week 1, so most of the people are keeping him as a substitute in their bench. But I think Eiling will live up to his underlying stats and will replicate what Dallas did last season. And naturally, that Dallas has been moved on to midfield. No one is really considering him. So Eiling, I think, will be the one to shine in the defense of Leeds. I mean, there is Forbo on the other fullback position, but the 5 million price tag kind of puts him off. I mean, if it starts performing like Dallas, then that's a totally different scenario. But otherwise, I think if we talk about the defensive assets of Leeds, Eiling shines better than the others. What's your view on this?
Yeah, provided the fact that Eiling has all Premier League experience. Like last season, they got promoted, and Eiling I think he started all the matches. I didn't think he
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
get rested for even one match. So he got minutes in every match. And yes, you see, defend from a defender's perspective, you will feel a defender's primary objective is first defending, and Eiling has done that brilliantly. He tracks back. He's a very traditional fullback, and in terms of, yeah, you are seeing on attacking stats, he has delivered crosses, he has run through those channels of spaces, and he has done everything. But yeah, the final product, you will feel that it has always come from the left side, and the left side was mostly dominated by the duo of Rafinha and Dallas. Yeah, so the outcome, the productivity has always come from the left side. But yeah, from defensive perspective, the defensive stats of Eiling are monstrous from last season. And even in attacking terms, the numbers are, like, if you see xgs and xa's and everything, you will feel that yeah, he's a really attacking threat. But he didn't like the point conversion hasn't been the same as the stats suggest. Yeah, and yeah, there's a probability that he can do the same this season. He can replicate what Dallas did last season. Yeah, and provided that Firpo is a rookie in terms of Premier League experience for now, and he didn't get enough minutes in Barcelona shirt, but he was a promising prospect in when he played in Betis. I think he played in Betis. So yeah, I think he can flourish under Bielsa, but I think it's better not to go for Firpo now, provided that he is more expensive than Eiling. And Eiling, even at 4.5, he provide and he starts almost every match. So at 4.5, he's a fantastic prospect, I will say. Compared to that, Ait Nuri, yeah, he got minutes last season owing to multiple defensive injuries, and Nuno didn't have much options in the bench. And he did great with the few chances he got. I mean, I've seen him play here, like his overlapping runs, his at crosses, his passing has been great. But I don't think he's a nailed on starter. I think he will be rotated, and provided that Johnny is so much has been injury prone since last season. After that, I think he suffered an ACL or something. I don't quite remember. Suffered a ACL, and then Markal, who is, I don't think has convinced enough to do good, man, like to be nailed on. So for that, I think this doesn't is it's not a really fair if in a comparison perspective, it's not at all fair, because Eiling will start almost every game. He's a senior fullback, and I don't expect him to do what Dallas has done last season. But I will obviously he will be my uh, obvious pick at 4.5, a no-brainer pick. Yeah, even with the defensive stats he has and the amount of overlapping runs he makes every time, think there's a high chance that this time the productivity can also come from the right side.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you said, it's it's definitely kind of an unfair comparison because Eiling is more nailed than Aitnouri. So I am hoping that Aitnouri will be more nailed as the season progresses compared to Markle, just because he is more of an attacking fullback than Markle, in my opinion. So we have to wait and watch. But Wolves have good fixtures, I think, from game week 4 onwards. So 3 game weeks will be enough for us to judge that. And if he can score a lot of points, then I'm certain that his price will be one to soar, and he will definitely rival Eiling in terms of being a good
Yeah, yeah,
4.5 million fullback.
definitely,
And
definitely.
talking about Firpo, I think Firpo's story is kind of parallel to what Nelson Semedo was last
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
Nelson Semedo came to Wolves, same attacking fullback from Barcelona, and I know some people instantly made him a permanent option in their team, but he did not really score a lot of points. I don't think his attacking output was that good, and Wolves as a defensive unit were not too solid last year. So we have to see now that Jimenez has been back. If Wolves can replicate what they were capable of doing originally, 2 to 3 seasons back. Okay, moving on to the next one, and this one is really interesting because Sufal versus Target. And why I say interesting is that I think Target has been a forgotten man this season. Like, all the defenders I have seen being talked about on Twitter, very rarely people have mentioned Target, and it's only about Shaw, Trent, Sufal, Dine, Eiling. I have seen very few people mentioning Target, and to be honest, I wonder why. Because Aston Villa as a team are good. They were already solid defensively. I mean, Cash, Konsa, Mings, and Target are the nailed-on defenders. And one key highlight is that they have signed Tuanzebe on loan from United. So that gives Aston Villa the option to play a back five against the so-called big teams, which will obviously make Target a wing back. So, and Target Target was 4.5 million, and owing to his good performances, he's 5 million now, and he delivered last season. Obviously, he kept the clean sheet because Martinez was there, and along with that, he was also getting the assist points one way or another. Now, some people, including me, avoided Target in some areas because we did not want to double up on Aston Villa defense, but that proved fatal because Aston Villa went on to keep the clean sheets against the big teams too, and as a result, Target got the points which we lost. So I think Target is being massively overlooked, considering Aston Villa have good fixtures in the opening 3 games. So he could be another valuable gem that people may wanna bring into their team at some point on the other, because it's not like Aston Villa will be a bad team overnight. I mean, Martinez is still their goalkeeper, and I think Martinez. I don't know exactly if his ownership is higher than Sanchez or not, but still people have put the faith in him this season, and correctly so. He is going to be one of the best keepers in the PL, and I don't see uh, Aston Villa conceding a lot of goals this season. So Target is one that we should definitely consider. And along with that, Matty Cash. I don't think Matty Cash's price has increased. It was 5 million last season, and I think it's the same one this season. So if people are not going for Target in the first few game weeks, this also gives them a chance to kind of analyze between Cash and Target and whom they want to bring into their team out of the two Aston Villa fullbacks. And Sufal also 5 million, and same as Creswell. He he did not rack up as many points as Creswell last season, but as we can see from his stats, the amount of assists that he provided, 6.39 XF, is quite good for a Western Villa defender. And naturally, his price has increased. But with Digne out of the picture, I think Sofal is coming back into a lot of teams. At first, it was mostly people who opted for a back three. It was mostly Shaw, Trent, and Digne. Now that Aston Villa lost 4-0 to United, and they're also missing some of their key players, people are jumping the ship and are trying to bring Sufal in their team. And I think it's rightly so. It tells a lot about what Sufal has done in the previous season, which is what gives us the confidence to play him straight from Game Week 1. What do you think about this?
See, I am the kind of person who doesn't judge a team by the preseason results, but obviously you have to count on that, like how they are performing, how they are coming back into the season, they are getting ready for the season, the injury updates. Obviously, all these things matter, but when the season rolls, it's a different ball game altogether. So I won't be on that jumping ship, as you said, like because they lost one match 4-0 to like Manchester United, a big team, and they've started almost every important player. So this is all about warming up, like rotating the players, checking out your bench strength, checking out your academy and everything, your rising talents and everything. All this comes into consideration when you are talking about a preseason match. And if I want to talk about statistically, I will say Stufal obviously beats Target because has been Target is as I think Target and Eiling, as we talked before in a previous slide, is like they are kind of in the same mold. They're defensively very good. They're defensively very good. They're tackling, their defensive interceptions, defensive covering and ground coverage. Everything is exceptional. Their worship they put on is exceptional. But I think Target has the same issue as Eiling. His numbers are on his side, but he doesn't convert those numbers to. Doesn't have those assist numbers or like those assist numbers to back those numbers. That is one of the primary things. I had Target for some time in previous season when I opted to take out Martinez from my team when they faced those big six teams, as you said. Yeah. So yeah, Target got me those points, but I have seen his Matty Cash, as you said, Matty Cash, even being on the same prices, is more of an attacking threat than Target. Yeah, that is one thing I observed last season, and that doesn't make Target any less of an option, obviously, FPL wise. But if we are comparing between Sufal and Target, then obviously Sufal for me, if doesn't matter if they are good or bad in preseason, Sufal will be the obvious pick because Sufal is way more attacking than Target. His crosses are exceptional. We have seen in Europe, in this Euro, and yeah, and as a defender also he is complete. He's tracking back, he's tackling. He's a complete fullback. And for me, Target is a slightly bit defensive in his approach than Sufal. So even if I have to pick between one, I will have to pick Sufal. And I'm not taking anything away from Target owing to the defense that Aston Villa has maintained last season and this season. As you said, if Aston Villa does go back three with the signing of Tuanzebe, then I think Target's attacking output may increase. We may never know. And maybe playing as a back four under Deans. And another fact is that they had Jack Grealish playing on the left side. So maybe for that you will expect that fullbacks not to push further and provide more defensive coverage. So that can be another reason. And a lot of things now changes for Aston Villa, provided that Grealish has left for City and they have signed another centre back, and they may go with a five back or as we say three back or whatever. And we can see Target playing as a left midfielder even or a left wing back. And if he thrives in that role, we can expect assists coming from him and those X's and XG's number increasing this season.
Yes, definitely. I mean, the thing that you said about Matty Cash, I think Matty Cash was more attacking than Target. It's true, but in terms of points, Target was always leading ahead of Cash,
Yeah,
which is why his price
I
has
think Cash got
increased.
injured. I think Cash got injured for a fair bit of amount last season.
Okay, that explains it. So considering they are both the same price, I mean, it is also possible that people target last season because his price was zero point 0.5 less than Cash, and so
Yes,
it will be interesting to see who they offer this season, considering both their prices are the same.
same, exactly.
Okay, let's move on to the two essentials, Shaw and TA. Now, of course, there is very less to say here. The thing about Shaw is that the way he's playing, he's continuously becoming someone into the mold of TA.
Yes.
Not exactly, I'm saying, in terms of the player they are, but the role that they provide for the team. TA is on all set pieces when Robertson is not there, the corners, the free kicks, and Shaw is also on both the corners and the free kicks, except the one which are close to the box. Obviously, those are taken by Bruno. But in terms of long free kicks, Shaw takes them to deliver across in the box. So, I mean, is Shaw at 5.5, and with that role in the team, Shaw's role is basically kind of like Digne. And of course, like unlike Everton, United have more of a solid defense this season. The main the main issue that people had last season in terms of United defensive assets was the fact that they were conceding silly goals, and as a result, the United defensive assets were not getting clean sheet points. And of course, with the arrival of Varane, plus a good preseason, I think, and also set piece coach, yeah. With all these aspects, I think Shaw will not only get those assist points, but also the clean sheet that was lacking last season. And TA will also be the same, I think, because Liverpool also suffered from defensive injuries, and as a result, their defense was not that great. TA Tia did not perform to his best in the initial parts of the game week last season, but he came back to form in the finishing stages. And of course, he had that injury before Euro, but I think he has recovered well now, and definitely he's an essential in many teams. And some people are even considering doubling up for Liverpool. And all I can say is that I think Trent and Shaw are the highest owned defenders in FPL, and Shaw is the highest owned player. So that's kind of crazy. What do you think?
I mean, Shaw's redemption has been nothing sort of like, you have to respect that, you have to appreciate that. Like 2 3 years ago, I would say Shaw is a completely defensive fullback. He doesn't he doesn't makes those offensive runs, those overlapping runs. I haven't seen him making those runs ever. And from last year, the amount of offensive runs he had made and amount of good crosses he has put in, I was totally surprised. Like, am I seeing the same Luke Shaw that I knew? I mean, he looked so average 2 3 years back, and after coming back from that horrific injury, and from that he never looked back from that period. And it's like a massive respect to him for the recovery he has made. And being one, I think it's unarguably he's the second most important player in Manchester United after Bruno Fernandes, for me at least. I mean, many can argue about that,
Yeah, definitely.
but even with Sancho arriving, Varane arriving, I think Luke Shaw is still, I think, one of the MVPs of Manchester United. And yeah, as you're saying that it's a very nice observation that he's turning into a Trent type fullback, and this is actually very true with the runs he is making, with the crosses he is putting in, the quality of crosses, with the corners. He's now completely in charge of the corners. We haven't seen Bruno taking a corner since, like, when I don't even remember when did he last take a corner for Manchester United. And even the indirect free kicks, yeah, and his deliveries has been so accurate. It has been so accurate, his deliveries. And Victor Lindelof hasn't been the greatest of aerial threats for the opposition. With Varane arriving, you will be expecting that he will be getting more onto those headers from those corners, those indirect free kicks, and you will be expecting more set piece goals coming. And Luke Shaw keeping up his form, he has a sensational Euro, and a lot is expected from him, and it's quite obvious that he will be carrying a lot of expectation, provided how he performed last season and in the Euros. And secondly, with the I was definitely sure his price gonna soar up to 6.0, but with his price being at 5.5, it is the most obvious thing that he will be the most owned FPL defender, and it's not a big surprise. And yeah, and nothing much to say more about Luke Shaw. He's like the must-own player right now. And even if he doesn't provide clean sheet, and even if he provides one or twos or something, provided that misfortunes, like if Manchester United are unlucky in that sense, like they don't get the goals or get those assists or anything, like there won't be a chance of a rank drop or something, because he will be most owned. And I think in that perspective also, people will be forced to keep him at least in the initial weeks of the game, initial weeks, like everybody's expecting Manchester United to kick off their campaign off to a flying start with the signings they have made, with the squad they are making. I mean, less than anything, a 3 point will be a disappointment in the first match, obviously, and the matches to follow. That is one thing. And coming to Trent, Trent, I think, doesn't need any more explanation. Yes, he had with the very unfortunate injury of Van Dijk last season. Like they lost a bit of confidence in the back line. Their team morale went down with those consecutive defeats, but they came back after February. They put in a great shift. They secured the top four. They secured the Champions League. They made a centre back signing. They are moving in the transfer market, and they will be motivated to make a comeback. They will be motivated to eye for the Premier League title again. And yeah, and with Robertson's injury, you might feel that again their defense may go a bit shaky. But Trent at 7.5, you will be expecting more about those assists and even goals
Yeah, he
actually.
will be on every set piece now.
Yeah,
Now that
every set.
Robertson is not here.
Exactly, from both the corners, even from free kicks, every set piece. So you will be expecting those points. And Liverpool, after the season they had last season, people have every right to expect they will be bouncing back. They will be again stamping their authority again like they did the season before. Yeah. Because simply this is Liverpool and this is Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool. Yeah. So and now to compare, I think both are must own, both are must have in everybody's team. And this is quite an obvious thing because with Trent showing promising signs that he will be coming back to his form and Luke Shaw in his sensational form, it's impossible to ignore both of them. And with Robertson's injuries, even more difficult to ignore Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think many people had Robertson in their team in terms of
Yeah.
Trent in place of Trent because they wanted to save that 0.5 million. And I'm sure after Robertson's
I think
injury, most
Robertson
of them
and
have
Trent. I
switched.
think Robertson and Trent have the same price this year.
No, 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 no. Robertson has 7 and Trent has 7.5.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh. I was feeling like
Okay.
both have the same price. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, moving on to the final draft that we both have prepared that we'll be going into our game weeks with. And unless there are injuries or major transfers like Kane going to City or stuff like that, we won't be changing it as much. So, firstly, we have Ronak's team, and I'll be quickly going through it. So, in goal, we have Sanchez, defenders, Stones, Trent, Shaw, and Sufal. Midfield, we have Smith Rowe, Salah, Fernandez, Burns, and in strike, we have Antonio and Tony. It's a 4-4-2 formation with the bench comprising of Foster, Rafinha, Eiling, and Perica. And I think like most of the selections in this lineup is self-satisfactory, and most of these players are also the highest owned players coming into game week 1. The particular ones that I will talk about is Stones, definitely, because I think City's defense, considering Pep roulette and everything, has been kind of overlooked this season. But Stones, as a result, Stones has not been picked by a lot of managers and could easily prove a differential. And so, tell me your thoughts about picking Stones, Smith Rowe, and Barnes.
Yeah, Stones, I think, like most people will feel that the obvious choice will be Ruben Diaz, obviously because he's nailed on and the number one centre back for Man City. But the reason for me picking Stones because he is an authority now in the defense. And we have seen him in the England shirt. He has been so good in the Euros as a centre back. He has recently signed a 5-year deal, which confirms that he is definitely going to be a starter for Manchester City. And Stones' goal threat is even more than Diaz. For me personally, what I have seen last season, and maybe this year, a lot of things can change as the season rolls by. But in perspective of last season, I think Stones is a more of a goal threat, and his heading ability is massive. His jump, he made one jump against, I think, which Scotland. I think he made an immense jump, and I was like, wow, that was almost like Cristiano Ronaldo jumping I am seeing. So like his aerial threat is I think a bit more than Ruben Diaz. Obviously, I'm not taking anything away from Ruben Diaz, and yeah, and at 5 points, and the price obviously like
5.5.
yeah 5.5, yeah 5.5, which is like the same price as Luke Shaw. Like that is a mammoth. I think that is a huge sigh of relief that he hasn't gone up to 6 or 6.5, provided the number of goals he has scored last season. So yeah, that's the reason I'm picking Stones. Yeah, I know the Pep roulette can affect because Stones is the most rotation prone player in in their defense. So yeah, but still I will be going for Stones because until and unless Champions League, FA Cup, and League Cup doesn't come up, I think Stones will be starting all the matches in the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, you also have the good bench cover. Like, I don't think Stones will come on as a substitute or something like that.
No,
So, in case Stones doesn't play, you will always have a player to come from your bench. So
yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so what about Smith Rowe?
Yeah, Smith Rowe.
Yes.
This was almost a last minute decision for me. Yeah, I had Bissouma, who is like 1 million lesser, just for the bench fodder, I think. But like, Smith Rowe I've selected because recently I learned he got the number 10 jersey, and that is a very important position in terms of the value in a team. And I think and provided that he started almost every preseason matches, I think he's going to be a very important player for Arsenal. And Arsenal were previously linked with Madison and Real Madrid's Odegaard, but I don't think Arsenal has that financial capability to sign either of them, because I think the clubs will be asking
Yeah,
for,
COVID and
yeah,
everything.
COVID and
Yeah.
everything. They will be asking for a fair bit of price for their stars, obviously. Like both Madison and Odegaard are exceptional talents. Yeah. So, but I think they will be banking on their own academy player. And Emil Smith Rowe, I think I just feel that he's going to have a breakthrough season. I'm not expecting a lot of points from him, but at 4.5 and a starter,
5.5.
sorry, 5.5. At 5.5, a midfielder and a starter, an attacking midfielder, I think he's too hard to ignore.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
provided that
definitely. I
he
mean,
is
yeah.
facing Brentford, a championship team in the opening fixture, I think starting him over Rafinha, who is facing Manchester United, and fixture difficulty rate wise, you will feel that Smith Rowe has better chance of an attacking output than Rafinha in the opening match.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are very few 5.5 million midfielders that we can consider this season, other than Smith Rowe. Only one I think
I think mostly
that
they are defensive
can be an
midfielders at 5.5. You will feel that.
yes, yes. Another one is Mbuemo of Brentford, but
Yeah,
again, championship side, we don't know a lot. So
exactly.
wait and watch. And Smith Rowe, as you said, even if it doesn't give those points, getting a starter at that price is, like we
And
can't ignore it. It's
that to
it's
an
not easy.
attacking
And it
midfielder.
also,
Yeah, that to an
yes,
attacking midfielder.
someone who
Mm,
plays
mm,
as a number in the number 10 position in a
mm.
4-2-3-1, and like it allows us more flexibility of the budget in other areas of the
Exactly.
field. So in terms of that also, he's a great enabler. Okay, so coming to Barnes. Okay,
Yeah.
why Barnes over Madison, considering Madison is also fit this season and has
Yeah.
started in preseason?
Thing is that Madison hasn't been looking sharp ever since he coming back from the injury. He was also omitted from the Euro squad, even being fit. I think he was fit for the
Yes,
Euros, but
and
he still got omitted.
no, he had a bit of a injury. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that too, and I think he hasn't looked the best in the preseason. So and second of all, Barnes had had a great run of form before his injury, and at 7, we have to pick between Madison and Barnes. I will, like most people will feel Madison is the obvious pick because both are at the same price, and Madison is on charge of set pieces. Provided that our Madison is kind of linked with a few bit of clubs,
Arsenal.
yeah, mostly Arsenal, and I think he wants to leave. I am not sure. I can't read obviously a
Yeah,
player
yeah.
psychology.
There have
Yeah,
been reports.
but
There
with
have
the
been reports.
rumors that he's being on the verge of leaving Leicester City and everything, and Barnes with his nailed on position in the left wing position, I think I will prefer the safe choice in the opening weeks. And if Madison stays by the end of the transfer window, and if he regains his total match fitness and total sharpness and total form, I will be switching obviously to Madison.
Yeah, definitely. I think uh, the safe option is the key here because I know I had Madison for a couple of game weeks last season and he delivered, but then
Yes,
he got injured. And when I brought him back again, he wasn't able to continue that form. So definitely wait and watch for me. And of course, Barnes playing on the left wing, as you said, Barnes had a great run of form in the same period when Gundogan was also racking up points one after the other. So definitely, we all like to go with the safe option in Game Week 1 without picking too many differentials. So that explains itself.
yes,
Okay, so let's go to my draft. I will quickly read it out. It has Sanchez in goal, Sofal, Shaw, and Simicas as the defense. Salah, Mahrez, Greenwood, Fernandez, and Barnes in the midfield. Antonio and Ings in forward. And my bench comprises of Foster, Amate, Obafemi, and Eiling.
yes,
So I think as you said, like Smith at 5.5 was totally, someone that you could not ignore. That same logic applied to me for Simicas. I was at a crossroad. I had Robertson in my team and I had zero point 0.5 in the bank. So I was at a crossroads on whether to use that zero point 0.5 to get uh, Trent or get Simicas. Now, people have been questioning whether Simicas will start or whether Milner will take his place at left back. But I have seen a lot of accounts tweet that Milner is 35, and of course, they did not buy Simicas just to keep him on the bench. He has started in preseason. He also got an assist in the last match of Liverpool, and I have always liked cheap budget defenders.
yeah,
So that was my main point in bringing Simicas. And another point is that I kind of wanted Mahrez in my team. Uh, of course, again, Pep roulette is there, but there are chances of Mahrez starting in at least the first few game weeks. But I could not fit him due to already having Robertson in my team. And even if the only reason that I can fit him is Simicas being only 4 million. If Simicas was a regular defender like 4.5 million, I wouldn't have been able to afford Mahrez. So that was an option that I had, which is why I switched. Another, like, there have been so many 4 million defenders on the rise with the unfortunate injuries in preseason. Similar with Fofana. After Fofana got injured, Amate has been the most likely starter for Leicester City. In place of Fofana, he has started in those preseason games, and I think Jones is also probably injured. I'm not too sure, but Amate has been starting with Soyuncu, so that is also an option that people have considered along with Semigas. And if I look at my draft, almost most of the picks are similar to yours. One pick that I think I need to explain is probably Greenwood. Now, Greenwood was not initially in my plans. I had Sard in my team. Now, I upgraded Sard to Greenwood only, and Watford also have a decent run of fixtures. I mean, Sard is the talismanic player. Sard can also score points. My only reason picking Greenwood was that he had a full preseason. The other players obviously they came back from the Euros, so they could not participate in all the matches. Greenwood has participated in all the preseason friendlies. In terms of fitness, he's okay. And with Rashford's injury, and Cavani still not back in training, Greenwood is likely to start. Greenwood and Chota, I think, are punts that we can consider in the first few game weeks. They are not they are not nailed on starters. Like there is no confusion about that. But they have got that probability to start in the first few game weeks with all the preseason matches and their good performance. So they can be considered as an option.
Yeah, see, Simicas, I think that's a very interesting choice with Robertson injured, and I don't think Milner has the. I mean, no offense to him or anything. He has been a sensational player for them and everything. But at 35, we will feel that at left back, it's going to take a lot of work shift. Playing as a fullback, I will feel that they will obviously like they signed Simicas last season, I think, and they will. I think he will be given a fair bit of opportunity in that position to prove himself. Obviously, he's still a young man and he has a lot of potential. And I think even if I feel that he's gonna start with Robertson sideline for quite a few bit of months. I think quite a few months. Yeah, so that's one thing. And Mahrez and Greenwood, I think Greenwood is definitely starting at least first three, at least when at least at the time Jadon Sancho is not.
Rashford comes back.
Rashford comes back and even
Jadon,
Sancho.
Jadon Sancho, no,
He,
Sancho has come back. He
he
has trained, but Sancho has not taken, participation in any preseason matches.
Exactly, and you will feel that he will be in the first few matches he will be subbed on, and to get along with the team and everything, the team chemistry and the team and harmony and everything, he has to get accustomed to everything. And I don't see him starting straight away. And I think same goes for Rafael Varane as well. The new signings, all the important
Mhm.
new like the star signings. I feel the same. And Greenwood, I think he's at least gonna start the first 3 to 4 matches. From I'm seeing, and Cavani, I don't think has the legs to start every match. He's gonna either come as an impact sub or gonna start in the Champions League or anything, or as per the formation required by Ule. And Greenwood is definitely a breaking star for Manchester United, and he will be getting more and more minutes as the season goes by, and he's starting, and that's a very good pick. And even if he doesn't start, he has every chance of coming from the bench and scoring one goal at least, and that gives a lot of edge, and then gives a that's a very good differential option. And Mahrez, I don't think he will be rotated that much, because with Sterling out of form and he hasn't been the sharpest in front of goal.
But Sterling had
And
a good Euros.
yeah, he
So
had a good
Pep
Euros.
might change
Yeah,
his mind.
yeah, obviously. And Bernardo Silva, I think he's on the verge of leaving. Grealish coming, I think Grealish gonna play in the midfield. I don't see him playing as a winger in Manchester City. I think Kevin De Bruyne and Grealish gonna play in the midfield. And Mahrez, even if not nailed on, he's gonna. I think he will be the number one right winger in the Premier League for Pep, as we have seen he has become since Sane has left.
Yeah, it's quite possible. And like, of course we have to always worry about the Pep roulette, but
Yeah,
as you said, with all the English players out, Sterling out, and Gabriel Jesus as a forward not nailed on properly, I think I don't have to worry a lot about Mahrez being rotated.
exactly.
So, so yeah. So I think this is good enough for this episode, and we just want to say good luck to all the managers out there. Hope you have a great start to your game week, and hope you can cross 100 marks point just on the very first day. So good luck to everyone, and thank you for watching.
Yes. Goodbye, guys.